Manchester United fans, buckle up, because this transfer window just got a whole lot messier, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly who's leaving, who's arriving, and who's stuck in limbo at Old Trafford. Let's start with the goalkeeper situation, because United have just confirmed something huge. Andre Onana is heading back out on loan to Trabzonspor. Yes, again. Last season in Turkey was a genuine success story for him. Third-place finish, a Turkish Cup trophy, and over 40 appearances for the club. So why isn't he coming back to compete for the #1 shirt this time? Simple. Senna Lammens has taken that job and made it completely his own during pre-season, leaving no real room for a conversation about Onana returning to challenge him. So instead, this loan deal was wrapped up early, sending him back to Turkey for another year, with just one season left on his contract once he's back. It's being framed as the tidiest possible outcome for United right now, a low-drama solution in a summer that badly needed one. And long-term, the hope is still to squeeze a transfer fee out of him next summer before he's free to walk away for nothing 2 years from now. But wait, because while the goalkeeper situation is settled, the midfield is where things get really interesting, and honestly, where the real drama of this window is unfolding. Last summer, United spent big up front, bringing in attacking reinforcements to strengthen the final third, but this window, the entire focus has shifted to the engine room. So who's actually on the shortlist right now? Alex Scott and Aurelien Tchouameni remain right at the very top of United's midfield wish list, but here's the problem. The market is moving unbelievably fast, and rivals keep beating them to the punch. Elliot Anderson has already completed his move to fierce rivals Manchester City, and 2 more names on United's radar have slipped away entirely to Tottenham instead. Beyond those 2 headline targets, names like Felix Mendy, Habib Diarra, and Youssouf Sabaly, plus Real Madrid's Eduardo Camavinga, are also being monitored closely by the recruitment team. Ever wonder why big midfield deals always seem to drag on longer than any other position? It's because everyone wants the same handful of players, and this summer is no exception. And here's where it gets complicated, because Real Madrid themselves are shopping for a midfielder this summer, which changes everything for United's plans. If they bring somebody new in, the expectation inside the building is that Camavinga could be the one shown the door rather than Tchouameni, who looks almost impossible to prize away from the Spanish capital right now. Stick with me though, because Alex Scott's situation is arguably even tougher to untangle. Bournemouth simply do not want to lose him under any circumstances. If a bidding war does break out, United and Arsenal would be the 2 clubs leading the race for his signature, but Bournemouth would rather hand him a brand new contract and keep him for their first ever European campaign in the club's history. After selling heavily last summer and losing more key players in January, the Cherries are absolutely desperate to protect what's left of their core group heading into a historic season. Think about how quickly this list has already shrunk in just a few weeks. At the start of the window, there were 5 or 6 realistic midfield names being discussed around Old Trafford. And now, thanks to Tottenham, Manchester City and Real Madrid's own priorities, that list has narrowed dramatically, putting even more pressure on United to move decisively rather than wait around for a bargain. So where does that actually leave United's midfield rebuild? Reportedly closing in on a deal for a midfielder out in Atalanta, a move that's expected to be rubber-stamped the moment Brazil are eliminated from the World Cup, which could honestly happen any day now. Funny how football matches always get decided in midfield, and it turns out this entire transfer window might be settled there too. If United can land even one of their top targets alongside that Atalanta arrival, this could quietly become one of their strongest midfield rebuilds in years. Let's pause on Tottenham for a second, because their business this summer has genuinely shaken up United's plans more than people realise. Spurs didn't just sign one midfielder from West Ham, they went and completed a full double deal, bringing in 2 players in one swoop for a combined fee reportedly north of €200 million. That single piece of business effectively removed 2 names from United's list overnight, and it's a big reason why the focus has now narrowed down to Alex Scott, Tchouameni, and that growing list of alternatives. It's a reminder that in this market, hesitation gets punished instantly, and United know it better than anyone after watching Anderson slip away to City as well. Reports also suggest United are trying to take a more patient, value-driven approach this time around, spreading the budget across positions rather than blowing it all on one marquee name, which is exactly why a new left-winger keeps coming up alongside the midfield search. Now let's talk about West Ham, because relegation hasn't stopped the Vultures from circling their squad in the slightest. Having already sold one of their brightest midfield stars to Tottenham for a huge fee north of £80 million, United and other suitors are now hunting for even more value in East London. Top of that list on the left wing is Crysencio Somerville, and United have already opened exploratory talks about signing him. It's easy to see why. He shone for the Netherlands at the World Cup and was genuinely one of the few bright spots in an otherwise miserable relegation campaign for West Ham. Now that the Dutch are out of the tournament, expect his future to move quickly over the coming weeks, because a new midfielder isn't the only priority this summer. A new left winger is very much part of the plan too. But don't get too excited yet, because not every West Ham star is actually available this window. And one name in particular is completely off the table. Captain Jarrod Bowen is going absolutely nowhere, no matter who comes calling. Despite plenty of admiring glances from clubs across the Premier League, West Ham haven't even entertained putting a price on him. And with a contract running all the way until 2030, they hold every single card in this negotiation. He fronted the launch of the club's new home kit and will be straight back in for pre-season next week. So if you were hoping for a Bowen twist in this story, that door looks firmly shut. Somerville, though, remains firmly in play, with several clubs across Europe reportedly circling around him too. Not just United, so this one could still turn into a genuine race. So how does all this tie into Marcus Rashford? Here's where the story gets really juicy, so stay with me, because this next part might completely change how you see United's summer plans. United still haven't sold him permanently to Barcelona, and with his old midfield partner Casemiro's exit freeing up space on the wage bill, keeping Rashford around suddenly looks less like a disaster and more like a genuine option worth considering. The club's new permanent head coach has quietly ordered contingency plans in case a permanent sale falls through completely, meaning Rashford could actually end up being reintegrated straight back into the first team fold this season, something that seemed unthinkable just months ago. Subscribe right now if you want every twist in this Rashford saga the moment it breaks, because trust me, this one is far from over, and it could dominate headlines all summer long. Sources close to the player say Rashford is ready and willing to fight for his place again, even though neither he nor the coaching staff previously saw any realistic path back to Old Trafford after everything that happened before his loan moves. But financially, United still want a sale more than anything, since offloading their highest earner would seriously help fund the rest of this summer's rebuild across midfield and beyond. If Barcelona won't budge on agreeing a permanent deal, and no other suitor steps forward before deadline day, don't be shocked if Rashford is actually training with the first team again, come August, boots on, ready to go. Ironically, the versatile forward United are still hunting for, before the window shuts, might already be sitting right there on their own books, which is a wild thought when you consider how his United career looked just a year ago. Meanwhile, fresh reports this week claim United have become surprise favourites for a Premier League star valued around £50 million after Liverpool quietly stepped back from that particular race, adding yet another layer to an already chaotic summer of business at Old Trafford. On the West Ham front specifically, sources suggest United have now formally inquired about Somerville's exact valuation, believed to sit somewhere between £50 and £60 million, though other clubs across Europe are reportedly circling too, and could easily hijack any deal if United hesitate for too long. His World Cup form certainly did him no harm at all. 2 goals and 2 assists in just 4 games for the Netherlands, on top of 6 goals in 7 games for West Ham earlier in the season, before a nasty hamstring injury derailed his momentum completely at the worst possible time. He never quite rediscovered that spark before relegation was confirmed, but the underlying quality clearly hasn't gone unnoticed by scouts watching closely all season long. And one more thing worth mentioning before we get to the recap, because it changes the entire backdrop of this window. Michael Carrick has now been confirmed as permanent head coach at Old Trafford, ending months of speculation about the club's long-term direction. That kind of stability at the very top tends to speed up decisions rather than slow them down, because targets, budgets, and squad plans can finally be locked in with real clarity instead of interim guesswork. It's also worth asking whether that appointment quietly reshapes Rashford's chances, since a settled manager with his own philosophy might see value in a player others had already written off. Don't be surprised if that single decision ends up being one of the most influential factors in how the rest of this summer plays out for United, both in terms of who arrives and who eventually stays. So here's exactly where things stand right now, and honestly, it's shaping up to be one of the busiest windows Old Trafford has seen in years. Onana is Turkey-bound again for another season. The midfield hunt is intensifying by the day, with Alex Scott and Tchouaméni still the dream targets United can't quite pin down. Camavinga could yet become the release valve over in Madrid if Real Madrid move first. Bowen isn't moving a single inch this summer, no matter the offer, and Somerville looks like United's most realistic and achievable path to reinforcing that left wing before deadline day arrives. And then there's Rashford, a genuinely fascinating saga that could end in a permanent Barcelona switch, or remarkably, a full-blown Old Trafford homecoming that absolutely nobody saw coming just a few months ago. Let's do a quick fire recap before you go, because there's a lot to keep track of here. 1. Onana's future is sorted for now with another loan spell in Turkey. 2. The midfield race is down to Alex Scott and Tchouaméni, with Camavinga and a handful of others as backup plans. 3. That Atalanta midfielder deal looks close to being finalised. 4. Somerville is the priority on the left wing, while Bowen stays firmly put at West Ham. And 5. Rashford's situation could genuinely go either way and might not be resolved until the very final days of the window. Which outcome do you honestly think actually happens here? Drop your prediction in the comments section right now, because I genuinely want to see what this community thinks before any of it gets officially confirmed one way or another. Will it be Alex Scott, Tchouaméni, or a completely different midfielder altogether? Will Rashford stay or finally get his permanent move to Barcelona? Let me know below. If this breakdown helped you make proper sense of all the chaos happening at Old Trafford this summer, smash that like button, hit subscribe so you never, ever miss the next twist in this transfer saga, and I will see you in the very next video with every single deal confirmed as it lands.